Okay, so today we're going to create a new Microsoft Teams, and then we're going to install Power Apps for Teams to leverage the Project Oakdale. Then we're going to create a new Power Apps environment for the Teams, and then after that we're going to create a new app leveraging Express Design, and we're also going to leverage Dataverse for Teams. So here within Teams, we just click here on Join or Create a Team. In my case here, I have privileges to create a team. In this environment, I'll hit Create Team. I can select a template or I can create one from scratch. I'm just going to create one from scratch. I'm going to put it as a public one. I'm just going to give it a name. I'm going to say this is Notes App Migration. I'm going to click on Create. Okay, so now we have a Teams. I'm going to install Power Apps. So click on three dots. I'm going to search for Power Apps. And here's Power Apps. I'm going to click Add. And I can start. So I'm going to click Start Now. And then we select Teams, right, that we have full control, that we can actually create things on. Right? So it gives us a little warning, right? You're the first person to create an app in this Teams. You need to do some setting up, so we'll need to do a little bit longer than usual. That's fine. Just hit create, and we just wait for the setup. Okay, so now we have to put a name for the app, and this is not going to be the final app that we're going to create. This is just a initial app, so I can just call this initial app, because this is what is required for us when we start off this Power Apps within Teams. So just going to create any app here, just call it initial app. So now that I have here an app, everything is fine, so now I can go back. Okay, so now that we have our initial app, what we can do here now is we can go into build. Once we go into build, we see different teams here on the left side that do have the Power Apps available. I can click here on three dots, and I can click here on Open Power Apps. We see here the URL with what we need. So we need the environment ID, and that's what we just got there. So we get here the environment ID. We're going to put that in the new URL that we're going to build. Just copy here, paste. So now we can leverage the image creation within Dataverse for Teams. And this brings a couple advantages for us. Right? like leveraging the diverse connectors for free, right? And many other advantages as well. Do remember that there is limitations around what you can use here. So you have a 2 gigabyte free storage, or up to 1 million rows, if I believe. Those are the limitations with Diverse for Teams. So I'm just putting here, for example, Notes 1 application, which I'm just grabbing an image from Notes. So this is a print screen from a Notes application that I just saw. I think about migrating this to Power Apps. This is just something that I grabbed. And if I just grab here this print screen, which is not perfect at all, it already tells us the recommended format. We just click Next. So this is just leveraging Express Design. So it already automatically grabs for us the fields, what it thinks about these fields, right? If it thinks these fields are maybe one type or another type, right? If it's a text label, or if it's if you put your mouse over, it's going to say what it thinks it's a text label, right? So all these are text labels. Actually, this one is not, right? So I can right-click on it. I can click on it, for example, and I can change it, right? So it can be something else. So it doesn't have to be a text, for example. It can maybe be something else. Maybe it can be a button or a drop down, right? So in this case, it's a drop down. So I change here to a drop down, for example, right? So if I put a mouse over, you see this one it's telling this one is 2, but it's not. So I can click on top of it. I can delete this tag, for example, which I don't agree with this tag. And I can re-tag this, for example, and say, well, put a little square there, and I can say this is actually a drop down. Okay. I don't want this one to go over, but I could have, if I could just select it and put it as text as well, I could do that, but I don't want it in this case. This one we want is label, right? So I'm just going to select that, put it as text label. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Put this as text label, and this is the same thing, right? This is another little text label as well. This status here did not fetch either, so I can say that this is it did not fetch anything for this one. So it should have shown here for us at least like a text situation, but this is a little bug. I'm not going to. I'm just gonna leave it. Let's maybe change it to a rectangle. It's not a toggle, but let's say it's just a rectangle. Let's say this should have been really a text, but this is a little bug. But it's no problem. It's not rendered 100%, and we don't want 100% either of what is doing here, right? This is just going to build out for us what we need, but this is still in preview. It's still has a lot to evolve, but I think it's perfect for what we need exactly here in our case. So in this case here, where the objective is to basically do a migration of a Lotus Notes form, right? Lotus Notes application. So I'm just going to put next. Create new table in Dataverse. I'm just going to leave it. I want to create a new table, Dataverse for Teams. You can say next. It already shows for us what it fetched, what it's going to correlate, what's going to be the table length, right? It's going to show us the structure, the data type of each one. So if we go here in table properties, we can see what the name is going to be. And it has a lot of interesting features for us, right? Of what is each one exactly. Okay. So I can just go here into next here, and I can hit create. Okay, so it's going to show different data types, blah blah blah. So next, create. It's going to start creating the app. So it took us to Power Apps screen, but we can just go back. Right, so I can go back here into Teams. I can go here, so I can go back into Home. It's gonna load for us. So it did create the Notes One application, right? So I can just click here, or I could navigate there to build. Just gonna click here for now. Okay, so basically, it created this screen as close as possible to what we had on the other screen. And what I found interesting was the field types, right? So it's showing us here the fields. We have here the form, and we have here the fields. So if I hit play, for example, I do have these fields as being drop downs, as it was in the other one. I do have the description, I have the requester, so if we look, side by side, it did try to create as close as possible to what this was. It wasn't really able to identify these, probably because of the quality of the print screen that I did, which was very bad, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it was great because it created a nice little screen for us. It created the fields, and it also created for us the Dataverse backend, which is very cool. So, especially here in Dataverse for Teams, which gets me very excited. So, for example, if I go back, I can, this array has the reference here, right, to the Nodes 1 table. If it doesn't open for us, I can also open this in Power Apps, and we can work from there. Let's first go to the solution. Okay, so now here's inside the solution. I can see tables. I can see that there's a table there. And the structure is there. You can click on columns. Columns are there. It's created the columns. Here's a couple. There's single line. There's choice fields, right? So, we have, if we look side by side, there's an interesting matching there. So, for example, I have requester there, requesters there. I have other types of fields as well. So, what I find very interesting is that we created here, just from a bad print screen, we created Dataverse columns, we created a form, and there's not much, we did not work at all, I'll say. We just worked a little bit on it, and we created something very interesting. And this is just Dataverse for Teams, which has all our capabilities there just within Teams. So you can leverage regular Dataverse, we can leverage in Dataverse for Teams. There's a lot of capabilities and possibilities with this one. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have fun there doing this type of conversions there for either your notes projects or any other type of projects that you might need for your business.